what I want to do today is clarify and discuss a little bit about my statements in a previous video where I discuss intuitive running. I got a lot of questions about that, emails asking me, how do you do it? Do I have any resources? And the honest truth is, no. What I mean by my version or my use of that terminology basically is just talking about how I got through running the last several years with my busy lifestyle, meaning it was a result or an after effect of the things going on in my life and not really being able to kind of stay on a very strict training plan when it comes to running. But this is the big part of this. This is after a lot of years of really kind of trial and error and training for ultra marathons and knowing what it took or what it takes to get my body ready, meaning enough volume to be able to be successful in those races. And by successful, again, this is about goals and this is individual to the person. Finishing a race, like say JFK 50, I know the type of volume I need to finish it. I wasn't ever really worried about finishing JFK. That's never been an issue. Belmonte, which is at the double marathon over two mountains, that is a race that I had to train specifically for and very hard and try to make sure that I got enough climbing, enough vert to be able to finish the race because it is a super difficult race. Now, the other part of this is just kind of dealing with the stress of running and maintaining a running training plan, whatever you want to call it. So if you're going to be running something like a 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon, and you're new to running or fairly new to running, it's probably best to get on a training plan that will help you stay injury free. Or if you have a specific goal, get a coach, something like that to kind of help you get to where you need to go. When I talk about intuitive running, it was really just kind of a result of, me kind of knowing where I needed to be with volume and dealing with the stresses in my life. Because what ended up happening to me is after a while, running became so time intensive, especially when I got into the ultra realm. I couldn't really keep up with the volume and time because of family obligations and work and things like that. And I was running super late at night sometimes, running a 15 miler at 11 o'clock at night. And it was just kind of wearing me out. And it got to the point where I understood, okay, I need to get a couple moderate runs during the week, maybe 7 to 8 miles, a shorter run, maybe 3 to 4 miles. And I needed to maintain the long run because the long run is the most arguably one of the most important parts of being able to run an ultra marathon is being able to kind of complete your weekly or bi-weekly ultra or bi-weekly long run. And that's kind of where I was. I didn't want to stress about having to stick to a hardcore plan where it says, oh, today you have to run 15 miles and I just don't have time. And then it's like, okay, well, I'll push that to tomorrow and it pushes the plan and everything kind of gets muddy and messy really quickly. So I know what I found out is from my own mental health and dealing with everything else in my life that I was able to go, okay, I can do back-to-backs. I'll do a 10 miler, an 8 miler on Saturday. Then maybe if I have more time on Sunday, I'll do 10 or 12 or 13. And, while it's not no science based in this stuff, it was still helping me maintain the volume and even on the lower end of the volume that I needed, being able to maintain, 25, 30, 35 miles a week and then spike up every once in a while into 40 or 50 just to make sure that, my fitness is still there, making sure I'm still getting my long runs. And so when I'm talking about intuitive running, it was really kind of dialing in my mind and knowing what I needed to do to complete certain races. Because again, the goal was always just to kind of finish these ultras, never really shoot for time too much because I knew that just wasn't possible if I couldn't get on a proper training plan and train specifically, and hard for these races and in that format. Trying to maintain some sort of time goal is just stressful, and it wasn't necessary. So I got to the point where I would just run, and if I felt good today and I was gonna run an 8 miler, I would run the 8 miler. Might turn it into 10, might be 5. One day I would walk the hills. Again, where I live, a lot of hills, up and down, up and down. I can't run on flat ground where I am. And some days I would run through all the hills and run through all the hills back. Some days I would power hike the hills and then run down the hills. Like, it was just mixing things up, just kind of keeping it fresh, because you can get burnt out. And if you are someone who is very strict with your running and you're always on a plan and you're just kind of always kind of burning yourself out, it may be good to switch to some intuitive running somewhat, because if you've been running for a long enough time, you know what you need to do. You need to have seasons. You need to go through training blocks and then also take off time during the year where you can rest your mind and your body and you're not really thinking about it. You're enjoying running. Because again, that's why we all do this. We love running. We're doing this because we love it. And again, like I said in that previous video, I do this because I love running. And if I start doing things that make me not want to run, that make me not love it, I need to switch things up. And that's kind of how I fell into this intuitive running. Again, it wasn't a plan. It was just a result of everything. And it's kind of worked out. But now that I'm trying to push into some certain goals, I'm going to have to try to put some effort into maintaining certain things, like, adding in speed work and making sure that I'm resting my body between long runs and not just doing whatever, whenever. While that can keep my fitness up, that's fine. But if I want to reach certain goals, I'm going to have to put some formal training plans into play and follow them. If you're new to running, I wouldn't advise intuitive running other than the part of listening to your body. I will always preach that. No matter what plan you're on, if you're running injured or you're running to the point where, again, pushing through hardness, plans are going to be hard, but if you're seriously dragging or don't feel well, listen to your body. That always err on the side of safety and caution towards your health, your mental health, and not jeopardizing any of that for one workout on one day. Again, this stuff's cumulative. One workout is not going to crush your entire training plan. So to keep that in mind, it's not an excuse to not follow a plan, but it's not worth pushing yourself through certain things just because it's on a piece of paper. I think I've covered it all, but please feel free to email me or write the comment down below in this video. All right. If anybody else has any tips or tricks or any kind of clarification on what they do to keep stress-free while you're running, leave that below also. And here's a link to the video that you can watch where I discuss this initially. Thanks for watching. Take care.